Mistakes as you working with stockinette and garter stitch. For example, here and here on stockinette part I have two mistakes made, and this one I already started, so I'll show you how to fix the mistake, but I also wanted to show how to put these guys on. So I'm making for you that second one. And first of all, how you identify stitches and pretend that you have still your needle here through the stitches, or do what I did, just bind off few stitches before, a few stitches after, so you could actually work without worrying to lose any other stitches here. So to identify the stitch on top that relates to this one, you could just take your needle and go like this, and you could see that this is the stitch. So I'm going with the column of that stitch right here, and this is the stitch that I'm going to undo. So if I have my needle here to secure these stitches, and maybe I have needle going through here as well, but I don't have that one. So let's say that I will pinch the stitch right here and let go yarn out of that stitch. So just maybe hold on to this stitch so it doesn't do anything. So here you undid that, and I have two colors that I'm using for these pants. So my dark one is telling me that this was a knit stitch, and then when I go with the next, so I pull that away, and there are other ways to do that. You could pin each strand, but I like to hold what I'm doing. So this one is the purl. You see that the purl stitches here. So you're undoing that, and you could just pull. My yarn is a little fuzzy, so okay. Doesn't want to get out there. Here. And so for that strand, you put the light color, so it tells me that that was a purl. And that's what I did on the other stitch that you see. If you look at my markers here, this is my knit stitch, this is purl, this is knit, this is purl, and then I have a knit one. I can even use that marker to show. So that's a knit, and another one will be a purl when I undo that. So that part is a garter, and I'm marking that because I need to know which row I'm knitting, which row I'm purling, and that is when you are working in the round. When you are working flat, it's always a knit stitch, but still it's nice to isolate them and see the count of them. To get to this stitch here, it's easier. You just do all of them knit stitches. You could just do it with your finger, even just push like that, and all strands are undone. You don't have to mark anything. So I got to the point where I have this strand and the stitch is below that. If I push that strand behind the stitch, that's where it's supposed to be. So after that, it's very easy. You take crochet hook, and you could take a little smaller than your needle, so it doesn't really pull too much. And I like to hold in my hands when I do that. So the piece that I'm working on is in my hands, and I just pick up the strand, bring it through the stitch, go to the next one, and next one, and next one. So this way all the strands that I had for just the knit stitch are done. And if I need to move yarn a little bit so the stretch in all directions, so it will be fixed in the way that you don't see anything. And then I start with the next strand, and this was, and remember I'm doing it in the round, right? So it's just a little piece here, but I'm doing sweater in the round. So this was supposed to be a purl stitch, so I'm undoing now this pin, and I'm taking the fabric in my hands, and I make a stitch that is on my hook just a little bit bigger so it doesn't run from me. Take the crochet hook out, go behind that strand, see upside down with crochet hook upside down, go under into the stitch, so both stitch and the strand will be on my crochet hook, and I'm helping that stitch to go under the strand, so the strand is on top of the stitch is behind. I turn my crochet hook down, grab the strand and bring it through, and now I see the purl stitch. So the next strand I have, that's a knit one, and I can actually undo this after I do the stitch. So let's do it this way. So now my crochet hook is up normally and the strand is behind the stitch, so I'm under the strand, bring through the stitch, that's your knit stitch. So undo the marker, take it out. The next one is the light marker and it's purl. So again, I can keep that on, make a loop a little bit bigger, take the crochet hook out, go from the other side, going up, down this way, under the strand, into the stitch. Now grab the stitch, bring the yarn in front, turn, crochet hook, grab the yarn, bring through, and that's your purl stitch. Take this off and continue with the next one, which is the knit stitch, which is easy. It's purl and the knit. You see that it's all fixed, and I will remove my markers later. Fixing mistakes as you work in